Hello everyone and welcome to Like Minds, Two Hearts, One Mind, One God. I am Julian and I want to thank you for tuning in as I do believe I have some practical and necessary tools to help engage two hearts through one mind and one God. Man, can you believe it? We're already on episode 4 of the Sex's Origin and Identity 5-part series. On this episode, I will discuss perverting what is holy or profaning what is holy. I mentioned in our last episode, God the Father created within the design of sex between a man and woman, closeness, transparency, and intimacy to be experienced at the very core of a marriage. God created the blueprint of sex in marriage for marriage. But things will take a drastic turn, as you will see. Before Genesis chapter 3, where we see the cunning serpent come onto the scene, sex as a creation of God is set in its purest form. But the moment Eve was deceived and Adam disobeyed God, we will discover the closeness, transparency, and intimacy between God and man will be sabotaged, okay? Genesis 3, 7 through 10 says, then the eyes of both of them were open, and they realized they were naked. So they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. Then the man and his wife heard the sound of the Lord God as he was walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and they hid from the Lord God among the trees of the garden. But the Lord God called to the man, where are you? So he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked and I hid myself. Now, consequently, now that sin has infiltrated into the world and even man's heart, as it relates to sex, this same intensity of closeness, transparency, and intimacy conceived in the garden acts as the very standard between man and woman in marriage. This is worth noting. God has intentionally placed the bar high. Get this. God has imputed within marriage sex as a memorial or as a reminder to indicate that only within the confines of marriage, closeness, transparency, and intimacy should always be imitated. Now, here where things get a bit controversial, okay? Due to the penalty of sin, the world has perverted this very act or idea of closeness, transparency, and intimacy of sex. To pervert is to alter something from its original state, or to distort its overall purpose. For instance, man's perception is often perverted by their enticement or self-indulgence. What follows is an agreement between what they have envisioned and their desires. This is key. Jesus lays it out plainly for us in Matthew 5:28. But I say to you that whoever looks at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Bingo. Here's where deception is conceived. We see this orchestrated with the woman, Eve, right there in the garden in Genesis 3:6. It says, so when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. She also gave to her husband with her, and he ate. Did you get that? We see the serpent methodically distort the image of a tree of the knowledge of good and evil, Genesis 2:17, into a tree good for food, and a tree desirable to make one wise. Again, through the lenses of her appetite, what she imagines will be pleasurable to her, connected with her heart. In a moment, Eve now has a new belief system that has influenced her. What she has imagined, she now believes will benefit her in the end. Now, notice what 2 Corinthians 10:5 says. I want to connect it to. It talks about these imaginations. Casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. The familiar phrase casting down means to strike down. When you and I cast down these imaginations, we are striking down its influence the very moment it comes to thought, okay? Never giving space for the opportunity to entertain them. Without this discipline, these imaginations will begin to plant themselves in the very psyche of an individual, becoming their new belief system, a life they have been deceived into thinking they will ultimately benefit from. Simply put, a perverted picture projects a perverted life. Please don't miss that. Tragically, man has sought many vain and perverted ways to use sex to his sinful and selfish pleasures. We can go down the list: sex trafficking, pornography, rape, molestation, homosexuality, masturbation, orgies, prostitution, just to name a few. Closeness, transparency, and intimacy can never be found in such unclean activities. To think otherwise is to validate the work of deception presently in your life. Okay, well, that's all that I would like to share on this episode. Like always, thanks for watching. Prayerfully, there was something that I said that encouraged you, or perhaps there was something that you will consider. If so, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share. Until next time, live abundantly. Peace.